Hey, JustMaD here, and I talk a lot about supply and demand, but what does it actually mean and how can we represent it visually? So what I mean when I say supply and demand are actually two laws, the law of supply and the law of demand. The law of demand states that all else equal, the higher the price of a good, the fewer amount of people who will want to buy that good. Now this is just a fancy way to say something that everybody understands. Let's take an example. The price of an AK Redline field tested is about 13 euros and the volume over 24 hours is 500. That means that at 13 euros there are 500 people willing to buy an AK Redline field tested and 500 people willing to sell an AK Redline field tested. Let's imagine now that for some reason the AK Redline field tested now has a price of 3 euros. A lot of people will buy it because for 3 euros the AK Redline is a very good looking skin. But if the price was 30 euros, a lot less people will buy it. There's only a small group of people who are willing to buy at this higher price. So that's what we mean by this law of demand. We can represent this graphically. To steal a joke from Phelps who stole it from someone else, look at this graph. The y-axis is the price and the x-axis is the quantity or the volume. The law of demand forms the curve like this. Don't be intimidated by this, it's exactly the same thing as we said in the example with the AK Redline. For example, take this price here. If we follow it up to the line and then to the other axis, it gives the quantity for that specific price. At a higher price, the quantity is lower. Like we said, there's only a small group of people willing to buy an AK Redline field tested for 30 euros. And now let's add supply. The law of supply is almost exactly the same as the law of demand, except it's the amount of people willing to sell instead of to buy. So the higher the price of a good, the higher the amount of people willing to sell that good. That means that on the graph, the curve of supply goes the other way, like this. So for example, at this price here, this will be the amount of people willing to sell their AK Redline field tested. Really quickly, if you're finding this helpful and want to support me, I have an affiliate link for Manco.store below. And now let's put both of them together and we get the laws of supply and demand. The point at which they meet is very important. It is the equilibrium price. That means the price where there is the same amount of people willing to buy and sell. It's the, in inverted brackets, true price of the item. Now, why those inverted brackets? Well, in the short term, this true price is constantly evolving. For example, at a particular moment in time, completely randomly, more people will be willing to buy and the price will go up for an hour. But that is only a short-term change. With time, sellers will come back in and bring the price back down to the equilibrium price. Now, graphically, an increase in demand like the one I just explained is represented by a shift of all the points on the demand curve to the right. As you can see, this caused the equilibrium points to move. It is now higher in price as well as higher in quantity. A real-life example of this is when the M4A1S got buffed with the release of Operation Riptide. This caused a lot more people to be interested in M4A1S skins, and so this caused an increase in price and an increase in volume, as you can see here. A decrease in demand, like for example the introduction of a substitute good, like new major stickers releasing and affecting the demand of the older stickers, will be the opposite movement, meaning a shift of the demand curve to the left, which causes a decrease in price and in quantity. The same can be done for the supply. A decrease in supply, like when skins get destroyed through trade-ups, is a shift to the left of the supply curve, which leads to a higher price but lower quantity. And an increase in supply, like when skins are created from case openings, are a shift to the right of the supply curve, which leads to a higher quantity but with a lower price. And that's it. I hope I made this understandable and not too boring. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments. And if this goes well, I might make some more of these heavily economics-based videos. Just let me know if you want to see that. Thanks for watching.